over the last 37 years and leading up to Roe versus Wade, there were many arguments on both sides of this issue. But one of the ones that frequently came to our attention was, but wait a minute, what about the exceptions? Would you really force a woman who was raped to carry that baby to term, to have to live with looking at that every day? What about incest? What if it's a family member? Today we have a very brave young lady who is going to come up here and talk about what it means to be not an exception, but to have a purpose in life, to be able to speak to those very exceptions, that question that even some of you may have had in your hearts. So it's my privilege today to introduce to you Ms. Juda Myers.
Thank you so much. I look out here and I almost think you're doing this for me personally. Because when my mother was raped by 8 men walking home from watching a movie one night, a priest and a Methodist minister helped her to save my life. And so the people who are standing here to save the other lives that are yet to come, I say thank you as proxy for my peers, for the people who are at risk, that will not be able to come back and thank you personally. I thank you for coming and taking time out and standing for the unborn, for standing for people like me. If I'm going to be the exception, I'm going to be the exception that praises God the loudest, who leads people to know Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. I want that kind of recognition. I want to be the exception that has so many people singing for joy because they've been set free from the lies that the devil tells us about the choices we have. Those aren't choices. Those are deceptive maneuvers to get you to the pits of hell. I love the Lord with all my heart, but when I found out that I was conceived in rape, thoughts start coming into my mind that I wasn't special, that I wasn't created in His image. And so I asked God, I said, am I really special? Are those people just telling me that to make me feel better? And this is what I heard in my heart and my mind. God said, I am the author of life. I create all human beings. Because if a woman wanted to be pregnant and men could create that child, there would be no barren women. But I am the one who breathes life even in the test tube, because some of the test tube babies don't happen. I'm so grateful to God that I was created in His image, that at the right moment when Satan thought he was going to destroy a life, my mother, God sent me in the midst of that ugliness to bring glory to His name. Devil messed up bad, because I don't care if somebody has to cut my tongue out, my hands will go up to my Lord. And I don't care if they cut my arms off, because my eyes will raise to heaven, to my Creator. And I don't care if they burn my eyes out, they'll never take my soul that constantly cries out to my Creator for my life and the privilege to stand for Him. It doesn't matter what anybody calls me. It doesn't matter what they think of me. It matters to me what they think of my Creator. And so I'm here to be the poster child for the, quote, exception. But I want to tell you that's not how I'm going to be an exception. I'm not going to be the excuse for people out there to kill a human being. If somebody says, what about the case for rape? This is what you're going to tell them. One, I met a person and I saw her speak She looks pretty human to me. 2, you're going to tell them that my mother made the right choice. She's not a murderer. So to compound a violation of my mother and turn around and force her to kill a human being, what kind of choice is that? And for the people who have had abortions, I speak for my peers that didn't make it. And I want to tell you that Jesus forgives everyone who comes to him and asks. And if you're hung up with unforgiveness for yourself, you're sinning. Because Jesus said, if you do not forgive, you will not be forgiven. That goes for yourself too. You have to forgive. Because if you don't forgive yourself, then Satan has you in a stronghold that you'll never help anybody else. I thank you for being silent no more. Because we weren't made to be silent. I thank you all for coming out here because it shows your dedication to faith with works. People who just stay in the pews and say, well, I'm just going to pray. Jesus didn't do that. Jesus went on the cross for us. And he said for us to carry our cross. Make an effort. Tell people. Invite them to come to things. Because this is a reward for us. God gives us endorphins in our mind when we do things that he's told us to do. And on the converse, you have toxic chemicals that are released when you don't forgive yourself or others. And 2, also, you cause your body to be sick. There are so many bad things when you hold bitterness and unforgiveness. And you can't tell a woman, oh, you shouldn't have had that kid. You don't deserve to give birth to that child. That's a lie from the pits of hell.
That's right.
Do I deserve to live? Well, just as much as any of you, because you're all made in the image of God. God didn't tell me I was an exception. I'm not the exception. He has chosen me to be the poster child for some reason. And at first it was a little difficult. But you know, when I knelt down beside my mother in 2005, when I met her, she's in a wheelchair in a nursing home. And she told me, I asked her, what were the circumstances of my conception? She said, I was walking home from watching a movie and 8 men attacked me at a street corner. And I just started crying. Just made me so sick because I believe what the world tells, says about conceived in rape. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I put my head in her lap and I just cried. And she, with her little southern accent, she goes, Alabama, she just pats me on the back and says, honey, I've forgiven those men. Stop your crying. Look what God has done. He's brought you back to me. God is faithful. She prayed for 48 years. Is anybody praying for anything at this point that hasn't happened? And this bus serves upstairs, straight to heaven. Want to join us? Because today is the day set before you, life and death. And our Creator said to choose life. Whose side will you be on? Straight up. Well, when my mother told me this, I thought I could give her a gift. And I wanted to write a song for her. And the song is called God is Faithful. And I gave it to her. I met her on December 7th of 2005. And then on Valentine's Day, which is my birthday, I gave this song to her. their eyes finally met, love lifted the veil. All the fear was gone, 'cause God's love never fails to answer our prayers. Now when they see others' hope is gone, they say, lift your eyes to heaven, let this be your song, 'cause God is faithful. No matter how long it takes, my God is faithful. I will trust Him and obey, because God is faithful. I can patiently wait. My God is faithful. Thank you so much. God bless you.